morning.
Good morning.
I see everybody had their coffee and their Cheerios. I don't know if our bodies are moving or not, but our mouths are.
Yeah, well,
That's a blessing. Better something than nothing, right? Okay. So this morning for our devotion, I had this little personal prayer that I was just going to share. I thought it was something that would sort of help us regroup and refocus on our chaotic lives. I'm quite sure mine's not the only one chaotic. So, the prayer is, today, Lord, don't let my days pass without being thankful and grateful for one or more of the following: a hug or a smile from someone, the flowers, the trees, and the birds, the sun in the morning and the moon at night, the sound of a song I enjoy singing or listening to, and last but not least, the sense of accomplishment I feel knowing you have helped me through this day. And then my closing prayer is from Psalms 118, verse 24. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Amen.
Well, it's good to see all these smiling faces. We'd like to welcome Susan Martin here, who has joined us to visit with us. I think you might rather like us. With the young married
If we behave. If we behave.
It won't happen overnight.
And our teacher for this morning is a former member, Richard Langston, who left us to go down below because he was the only male there. So he was the only rooster in the hen house. Now he's been joined by another one so he can come up and share the Lord's word with us. So let's welcome Richard Langston back. He can stand in the room.
Thank you, Bill. Well, boys and girls, you have apparently misbehaved egregiously since I left here because somebody sent me back here to talk to you about it. I did go to, I was the only male in the heritage class for years. All the other males died on. And so I was the mascot. And now there's a guy that, he's stranger than I am. Jack used to weigh 500 pounds, now he weighs about 180. But he shows up for Bible study on Sunday night when it's 20 degrees outside. He's wearing flip-flops and shorts.
Yep.
So I'm not so sure about him. But I'm not dumb. I went to a class that's full of nice women that love each other and pay attention to me and fix my collar when I get there, all kinds of stuff. And then once in a while on Wednesday nights, I sit down and take money. Now tell me, where in the world can you get a job? Or you sit down and good-looking women come up and pay the money. So I went to the University of Georgia, I ain't dumb. So today we're going to talk about Paul and Timothy. And Paul's not my favorite of the disciples. When I get to heaven, I'm hanging out with Peter. He's my kind of guy. And Paul can stay on the other side of the room, but that's okay. He did a lot of good stuff. And Paul, on, I guess, his first trip, met Timothy and saved him, proselyted, baptized, did all kinds of stuff. And Timothy was in, we don't know if it's Derby or Lystra. It's kind of like Callahan and Hilliard, little towns. And Timothy was a sharp guy. He was a young man that had a really good reputation. He came from a good family. His mother was named Lois, and Eunice, and his grandmother was named Lois. And we don't know his father's name, although he had a father who was Greek. And he didn't, he wasn't a Christian. So Timothy became a Christian, and Paul started using him on his travels. Well, I think it was Eunice's idea and Paul's, but they decided that since everybody knew that Timothy was the son of a Greek, they had Timothy circumcised so that he could relate to the Jews in those days. We all think of Paul as the guy that, was sent to reach the Gentiles, and he did. But when they were first getting started, they would go to the synagogue, and that's, synagogues full of what? The Jews. So it was done to facilitate matters, and I kind of understand that to a degree. Years ago, when I was a Baptist, we went on a lot of mission trips to Europe, and I was in Prague, and I got a tour of the St. Paul's Cathedral. It's a magnificent building, just terrific. And I'm going through there, and the tour guide telling us this. They claim that St. Paul's bones are buried there. Everybody claims somebody's bones are buried somewhere in Europe. But the funny thing is, on every corner of that building, there's a gargoyle. Now, the Lord said, don't mess around with icons and idols. I am the Lord your God. There will be no other God before me. So I'm looking at all these gargoyles, and I asked the tour guide, what are they doing? And he said, well, they put the story was, they put all those gargoyles up there to make the pagan converts more comfortable. I don't understand that. You don't go to church to be entertained. You go to church to be inspired, to learn about God. And I don't believe church is in the entertainment or the comfort business. If I was a preacher, I would hate for somebody to say, when they're leaving the house, I enjoyed your sermon. You're not supposed to enjoy the sermon. You're supposed to be disturbed by the sermon. The motto of the Wall Street Journal is, comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. So that's what they should have been doing. And I don't know that Timothy's circumcision was necessary, but I guess if you're going to get them in, you got to figure out ways to do that. And then once you get them, you can talk about it a little bit more. But for this quarter, we've been talking about a focus on faith. We've explored how faith is expressed through our actions and our words. A while back we had a thing about how important words are. In fact, I think I taught that lesson to the old folks. But we know that the Ephesians were being influenced by Jewish mythical reinterpretation of the law and genealogies, and had divorced doctrine from behavior, paving the way for what this guy says is licentious teaching. I don't really know what licentious is. I thought he played linebacker for Auburn.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, okay. But at any rate, they were getting some bad teaching going on in Ephesus. Well, there's good teaching everywhere, and there's bad teaching everywhere. And the biggest thing we need is wisdom to discern between the two. And my big thing is wisdom. I pray every night for wisdom. I pray every time I read the Bible for wisdom, because I think that's more important than anything else we can have. So I know we all want to get to heaven. We all want to please God. The trick is knowing what God wants us to do. We get a lot of people coming at us that tell us what God told them to tell us. I don't believe everything I hear from everybody I listen to, but I think we need to assiduously study what's being said to us and make sure that it's Bible grounded. If it comes from the Bible, I think it's right. You know, when I was a Baptist, we had a tremendous blow-up about inerrancy. And he's still fighting about that. And that's the reason I left. One of the reasons. I got tired of Christians saying ugly things about other Christians. And I was talking to a guy at the Baptist, HAP down here where I was. And he had been a pastor, he had been president of a religious college. And he said, you know, the Bible is inerrant. But those who interpret it aren't really inerrant. They're about as errant as can be sometimes, and people use the context of the Bible to, you know, assuage their own methods and programs. Well, anyway, Paul is hearing that Ephesus is getting a lot of bad preaching and teaching, and he really thought a lot of Timothy. So he sends Timothy to Ephesus to combat the false teacher and develop leaders in the congregation who can carry on all that work, because one person can't do it. So here's Timothy, and he's a youngster, you know, got a good reputation, got circumcised, all kind of good stuff. But he told Timothy that the congregation needs to know you care before they'll care what you know. The Baptist preach, I keep going back to that, but the old boy said the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. And I'm sure many other preachers have said that, and I think it's kind of like on my refrigerator magnet. But Paul sort of defines what Timothy's going to be doing as a competition. He's not competing against Christians, he's competing against the powers that stood against Christians. Paul envisioned the life of faith is a constant struggle against those people who would undermine the faith through false teaching and the powers of evil that proclaim that. And you know, it's just insidious. You can't believe everything you hear, but you're going to stop somewhere. And the trick is to know what somebody's saying and how they say it and where it comes from. And Timothy was the guy to do that. One of the things that Paul really strongly urged Timothy to practice was perseverance. You get knocked down, you get back up. You keep playing. You keep doing your thing. And as I recall, when I first started going on all these mission trips, and I wasn't, you know, going out and holding hands singing Kumbaya to Bible. We were tearing down houses and creating sawdust. But the thing is, endurance means you're doing what you do every day constantly. And I seek constant consistency. I remember sitting out on a driveway in a little village in Germany, and nobody volunteers over there. And some people came by, and my wife and I were out there digging up stuff around the sidewalk. They want to know what we're doing. We said, well, we're fixing a school for you. They were just blown away. Now that's what those missionaries call lifestyle evangelism. I can do that with my knuckles and my knees and my muscles. Still got a few left. Better than I can stand on a street corner on a soapbox and preach. I am not a preacher. I don't claim to be one. I'm a sort of a facilitator. I don't know how I got into this. They were desperate, I guess. But lifestyle evangelism is easier for somebody who's got a strong back and a weak mind, so to speak. I remember we went to Bucharest, Romania. What are you talking about? Poor city in Europe almost. There was a school, a church there that had to be fenced all the way around. And we're going to build a school for gypsies. They said a school for gypsies. It wasn't for gypsies only, but they were the predominant neighbors. Well, you know, the guy and I were down at Steinmark. He was getting measured for a new suit for some reason, and somehow the word got out we're going to help the gypsies in Bucharest, and the seamstress almost spit on it. Because everybody hates gypsies, and you know, Romania is where gypsies came from. It's where they got started. Well, the thing is, we were told, and I agreed with the premise, that if you're going to get somebody straightened out, start with the children. Because the grown-ups are too far gone. And so we did a lot of work for the school so that the children in the neighborhood could come in and get an education. A block away from the church was a dirt road. And there was one house, the one family that lived in the house there that had running water. Everybody had to come down to his house to get water. They had to get in there. He was 18 years old, smartest kid I ever met. He had studied the Bible all his life. He was looking for a Latin Bible because he could translate Latin, and he wanted to study the Bible in Latin. I came back to Jacksonville, and I went to all the preachers at HAB. Well, he ended up I went to the American Bible Society and got that kid a Bible sent to him in Latin. And I know for a fact that he got it and he was studying it, because I still hear from a lot of those people. The Baptists publish a devotional like we do. And theirs is called Open Windows, and every day there's a list of missionaries and their birthdays. So in addition to the Methodist devotional, I do the Baptist devotional. Also because I know a lot of those people. I've been doing that mission stuff for 10 years. Going somewhere every summer for 2 weeks and sometimes 4. And I really relate to that. And these people, well, they're just like Baptists. They're just worse than Democrats. They fight among themselves all the time. You know? And I was telling some preacher back in Jacksonville that we had dinner with a guy at a Lebanese restaurant, Bucharest, Romania. And he was really good, but he was a Southern Baptist, and the church I was going to was a cooperative Baptist fellowship. And this preacher, not the preacher at HAB, but a Baptist preacher came unglued. Why, you shouldn't have break bread with somebody like that. Come on, gang. We all need to be Christian. We need to remember who we are, whose we are. And, you know, it just, I don't understand how anybody can sit there and talk ugly about other Christians. I wouldn't mind bashing a Muslim once in a while, but they just misled, you know. Georgia Tech people, same thing. get to using personal experiences and things like that when I teach, just because I don't know enough biblical stuff to really dazzle you. But I think if you remember that when you, let's say you go on a mission trip, or you do vacation Bible school, and that's mission work, or you go here, there, or yonder. Do it for the right reason. Don't do it to impress somebody. Don't do it to get into heaven. Do it because it's right. You know, if your heart's right, you're going to do the right thing. That's just like lying. I'm too lazy to lie. If you lie, you got to remember what you said to whoever you said it to. So it's easier. And that doesn't gain me a lot of popularity contests, but that's okay. You know, Timothy was up against a lot of heavy-duty guns in the Ephesian church. You know, they all had their jobs for a long time. It's like the Sanhedrin. I was doing a Bible study a couple of years ago, and found that the guy didn't like me. I didn't like him either, but he said something about, you need to tone it down in the class. I said, I'm a zealot. I believe that Jesus is going to save me. And, you know, yada, yada. He said, well, see if you can't tone it down. I said, I'll tone it down. I won't be back. And I said, you take that and tell it to your Sanhedrin where you go down there. And because they were so legalistic that it didn't float my boat. Now, they do wonderful work. And they get a lot of people saved. And a lot of people understand the Bible better than they did before. So I do those things. And I go to, you know, they'll put on a class on Sunday night, and I go there and just say, no, I need all the help I can get. But I don't hurt well. And when I come across somebody that tells me that's the wrong answer, yeah, the guy asked me a question, I said, the answer, he said, that's wrong. And when I just right out of the Bible, what Bible are you reading? I said, the New King James Version. He said, well, this organization uses the New International Version. And I said, that did it for me. You know, that's God's word, just like the guy said, it's not the inerrancy of the Bible, it's the inerrancy of the interpreter. So at any rate, beware of false teachers. When you go listen to somebody new, think about it, and pray about what you heard. And try to gain the wisdom to discern what you were told. See, I've written the choir off already. I used to be in that group that would leave early because Hatton, what's his name, used to hook me into being an usher, and we'd have to go down there and usher. And Sarah Fauché was in the class back then, and she took 15 minutes of opening prayer, because we always got started later. God bless her. Sarah's doing better and KO's home. So that's really good news. I really wish Sarah would completely recover so I could insult her again. When Auburn beat Georgia on the last second play, and she calls me up right after that and said, "Can you believe in miracles?" I said, "Sarah, do not ever call this number again." And she fussed about me saying that to her, but you know, I told her I don't teach unless I love you. So I hope she gets well soon, so I can tease her or berate her about all of it. But I have a bad habit of using sports metaphors too much. Everybody isn't into sports. I always encourage my children to play little league ball, football, basketball, baseball. I figure if they're practicing all day long, they're too tired to steal hubcaps at night. And you know, if it's tooting the horn in the band or whatever they're doing, they need to be doing something. I want them to be focused on something that, you know, is healthy and shows some degree of respect for each other and those things. But Timothy had a big job. Paul had seen the potential the guy had. He believed in him. He sent him over there, and from what we know, he got the job done. The church at Ephesus became really big. Ephesus was a big city. All the Roman army dudes retired there. But Timothy had the wisdom and the determination to do what was necessary. You can't just be wise and think about it. You got to be wise and do it. It's like James. James says, I know you by your works. One more thing I'll tell you, then I'll get off my missionary podium. We used to go down to Homestead. We were building a mission house down there to distribute food and all this kind of stuff. Well, we had a big house that took up almost a block with the grounds, and people were coming and going, and we came back from work one night, and I mean, that's the hottest place on earth. And we'd work from 6 a.m. to 4, and then give it up. We came back, and there was a bunch of guys, some from Missouri and some somewhere else. We walked in, and they had moved me out of my room and put me somewhere else, which was okay. But the guy comes up and he says, which way's the beach? Well, we had a foreman that was kind of an old salt retired sailor, lay preacher, you know, this, that, and that. And he got onto that, and he said, we're praying for you. He said, next time you do that, come down here with a hammer in your hand. You can pray about that too. So the thing is, James says, I know you by your works. Talk is cheap, but works without faith is not right either. You've got to have both. So when you read the Bible, study a Sunday school lesson, whatever it is you're going to do, pray for wisdom before you do it. And you come out a whole lot better, because God does answer prayers. Amen.
Amen.
Go and sin no more.
Amen.
Thank you, Richard.
We have been extremely fortunate in Sissy's absence to have some wonderful people step up to the plate and teach our lesson. We want to thank you very much. Now, there is one important thing that Bruce wanted me to read to the class. It's a letter to the Southside family. Many of you have this letter, but I'm going to read it. Dear Southside family, we are well into 2018, and we must make some very serious decisions about our church budget. While we have received many pledges, we are still lacking some that we had anticipated. Currently, 163 families have pledged $869,116 toward the 2018 budget. That leaves 179,000 short of where we need to be. If we were to finalize the budget today, we would have to make a 12% cut. This would be devastating to our operations, ministry, and staff. Enclosed in this letter is a strategic set of priorities that will guide us if we need to make those cuts. We who are on the Committee on Finance are concerned enough that we feel to increase our own tithe this year. While this will only be a small step towards getting our finances in order, we feel that every positive step will be significant. But even more importantly, we need to hear from all our church families. This coming Sunday, we will share with you about how we can get involved in meeting our goals. We will also send these resources out by email and mail. Your response will determine our financial plans for the coming year. Please prayerfully consider how you can support the ministry of our congregation. We need to hear from everyone in 30 days. God bless you and your family in 2018. Budget adjustment priorities for 2018. Apportionments. These are funds that the Methodist Church has to contribute to the regular church leadership. And that's $139,175. They've never failed to make that, but they may have to consider that. Facilities. We have great facilities. But our power bill, for example, is $115,000 for 2018. Pretty expensive. They may have to cut down some of the use of it. I know they did it one year and we ended up with mold in the kitchen. Some of our programs need to be changed, like the Fall Festival, Easter egg hunt, and these items. They could be canceled. Part-time staff. We love our staff. And many of our people are part-time, but then wages and payroll taxes are still $22,100. Full-time staff, salary and benefits and taxes total $313,972 a year. The clergy were not able to change the status of our clergy except through the action of a fall conference. This would take effect only in 2019 and would be needed done with consultation with district superintendent and the bishop. Salary, benefits, pension are $302,159,000. So the church needs some help. So they're going to consider this, and if those who have not contributed, please consider doing so. Now, one other announcement, there is going to be a conference, a global impact celebration featuring the ministry and the missionaries between May 16th and 20th. It's a global impact. There are several things that are going to come about. They're going to have dinners, they're going to have breakfasts, and they're going to have workshops. So let's pass these around, read them, see if there's anything we can do. Nope. Okay, don't forget, this coming Saturday, we have the Mission Garage Sale, and they still will take anything that they need to help sell, and that will help support the mission efforts. Lenten devotions. I'm going to pass these out. These, you should be getting these in Gmail, but they're Lenten devotions that we get. We're having right now during the Lenten season. So pass these around and read them.
We get them by mail.
You get them? Okay, we'll pass them on to those who don't get them. Now, are there any announcements or concerns of the class? Patty?
Okay. We passed out the new books today in view of the church's finances. I just wanted you to know that those books you got today, the little yellow one, each one of those is $10.99. So our class and the Heritage class are the only two classes that the church provides curriculum to. And I thought, well, if you just take it home and put it on the sideboard and leave it, maybe you just would turn it in as you walk, and I can mail back and get reimbursed for the books we're not using. So if you're not really reading it, just leave it on your seat or put it up here in the box as you go. And nobody will say anything. We all know some days we don't read it and that. But if you read it, it's worth the $10.99. So when you figure, I just passed out 28 books. So figure out how much that is. Well, when you turn in the money
Pat?
to the Sunday school, I think that kind of goes to pay for it. But if we want to, we can tell them we won't take it anymore. But I just think, you know, if we put that money in the Sunday school, I turn it in, I think that goes toward this, I hope anyway. So I just thought that could be one way we could help out.
How much is it a quarter? Don't they come each quarter?
Yeah, that's a quarter, yeah, that's
How much is it?
$10.99.
$10.99. I mean,
No, I meant for both, but to get them to class, how much is that?
well, the two classes together, we have two people that have large, print, thank you. That's $23.98. All of our books, we order 62 books. It's $681.83. And we order 7 teachers' books, which is $97.93. And where the heck, I don't see my totals, so you can see. We have, you know, we could see about having another, not just taking the Asbury books, you know, if you want. I don't know if the heritage class would want to, you know, get away from the Asbury. I just don't know. But I think if you're not going to read it, just leave it, and then I'll turn them in.
Or can we just give $11 to the Sunday school class for it?
Well, I don't know.
Would that be helpful? I mean, $11 to us per quarter individually is nothing. I mean, it may help in the long run.
Why
I don't
can't we
mind.
do that?
Well, I will talk to the people that order them and see if you want to do that. But still, if you just, if we have 3 or 4 people who are not reading it, that's 3 or 4, that's $30 there that we could help out. So whatever we'll think about it, and I'll ask if we can pay for it, you know. I'll find out where this money that we turn in every Sunday is. I'll find out. I'll talk to Melissa.
Okay, Pat?
This little paper that was passed around this morning is what I'm in charge of. And on Monday morning at 10 o'clock, or I think at 11 o'clock, we're meeting in the chapel for prayer. It really is an important event. It is all about missions, and we're going to have a pledge at the end of this on missions. And one of the things that they proved through this, and especially through this organization, is not only will we meet our budget on missions, but our budget for the church will increase, because this is a time to teach people about not only giving their tithes, but to give above that, as the Lord has commanded us to do. So it's a very important event. We have a very full Wednesday through Sunday. Every day, lunch or dinners or meetings, and the missionaries will be here. 14 missionaries will be here. We have a missionary from China, which is very rare to be able to get one. Cuba, Guatemala, and Morocco, plus our local missionaries. This is such an important event, so I ask you if you can come to the prayer meeting. We would love for you to do that. But please be praying about this. This is a life changer in the church. And we have planned to have over 1,200 people at this event those 3 days.
Any other announcements? If not,
Can I
Yes,
ask a
Susan.
question? I called Sissy the other day, and she was out with friends. So maybe she's getting a little better. Does anybody
Well-
know when she's going to be back?
I'm going to talk to her this week. She seems to think she might be able to come back. She said she was going to try and make it back in March. So we've covered her absence very well. We've had good volunteers here in the class. Wayne stepped up. Richard stepped up. We had Esther's husband stepped up. So we've been great. And of course, we have our regular.
It's your regular.
He's always here. So,
I
yes,
have a correction, it's 11 o'clock on Mondays.
the
For
what?
the prayer meeting, it's 11 o'clock on Mondays, not 10. Tomorrow.
Yeah. That, I can't answer.
It is. He doesn't hear about
Have you ever been to Ephesus?
To what?
Have you ever been to Ephesus?
I can't understand you.
I'm sorry. Have you ever traveled and been to Ephesus?
No.
We were there, and as you're sitting in the Colosseum there, the ruins of the Colosseum, if you look out on the hill, there's the prison where Paul was in prison. The ruins are still there. So it brings a historical perspective to, to his travels. And there are ruins there, the Hadrian's library is there, the walls of that, and it's quite an experience when you put something real like that and having been there.
So much history in Rome and Europe, Christianity. There are no further announcements. Tom, would you come up and bring our humor to us? Leave us
St. Tom.
with a grin.
Has he done something you didn't call him to sing it?
Yeah, he wants to sing
Is he
this.
following? Is he a fallen angel?
Maybe I have more than a saint, maybe I'm a cardinal or something like that, you know.
Speak up.
All right. The definition of old. I very quietly confided to my best friend that I was having an affair. She turned to me and asked, "Are you having it catered?" And that, my friend, is the sad definition of old. I've sure gotten old. I have outlived my feet and my teeth. I had 2 bypasses, a hip replacement, new knees, fought prostate cancer, diabetes, and I'm half blind. I can't hear anything quieter than a jet engine. I take 40 different medications that make me dizzy, winded, and subject to blackouts. Have bouts with dementia and have poor circulation. I hardly feel my hands and my feet anymore. Can't remember if I'm 85 or 92. Having lost all of my friends, but thank God I still have my driver's license. Anyway, know how to prevent sagging, just eat till the wrinkles fill it out. And the final prayer, grant me the senility to forgive the people I've never liked anyway. The good fortune to run into the ones I do, and the eyesight to tell the difference.
If all stand, we'll be dismissed. Look, the words of my mouth
And the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer.